Hey readers, so we are going to be looking at the final 3 chapters of Miss Bixby's Last Day. They are a little shorter and it'll be from the 3 perspectives, Steve, Topher, Steve, Bran, and Topher. So last we left off, they were enjoying their time with Miss Bixby until they looked off and they hear somebody calling their name, and it's Nurse Georgia the Viking, standing at the bottom of the hill, telling us it's time to come down. Steve. This is how the story ends. Bilbo hands Gandalf the jar of tobacco, and Miss Bixby closes the book, and we sit there in silence, which isn't unusual for me, but is strange for Topher, who usually has to say something. So that was their class read aloud, was Lord of the Rings. And so they brought that book. That was the book they got from the store. It seems a little anticlimactic, the ending. Everyone seems content just sitting there, so I keep my mouth shut and study the grass and think about what it must be like to come home after such a grand adventure, like Bilbo's, and not have to listen to your parents yell at you for it. There is no escaping it. They will find out somehow, but not from Christina. She told me she wouldn't, and I know she won't, despite what Topher thinks. Even us cicadas get tired of following the rules all the time, and I think she was secretly, maybe even a little proud of me today. She would never say it. More likely somebody from school will tell them, Mr. Mac or the sub, or maybe they won't find out until they get my report card and cross-reference the number of absences against the calendars on their iPads. At the very least, they will ask about my lip. I will tell them the truth. It doesn't seem like a secret worth keeping, and I'm not that good at liar. Topher's tried to teach me, but he says I just don't have the gift. So they will ask, and I will tell them, then suffer the consequences. I try not to think about what those might be. No sense spoiling this moment. When the nurse from the 4th floor mysteriously appears at the bottom of the hill, Miss B hurriedly stashes her bottle of whiskey in her giant purse. I'm not sharing with the nurses, she jokes. Then she hands the book to Topher and puts her slippers back on, looking at them for a good while. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles, she says. I don't know what that means, but it sounds a little morbid. Morbid means like related to death. I look down at my shoes. I must look concerned because Miss Bixby reaches over and touches my knee. It's from a poem, she says. She knows how I feel about poetry. But I don't say anything. Probably some poems are all right. She stands and we stand facing her, like we're back in the classroom. Then she gives Topher a giant hug, and me too, though she doesn't smell at all like she usually does, and she squeezes harder than usual and makes it difficult to breathe. She doesn't hug Bran, which I think is strange, but the two of them stand face to face, Miss Bixby standing just below him on the hill so he can look at her level. I almost forgot. Bran bends down and opens the pocket of his backpack and produces a pink and white flower. It's a little smushed, bent at the stem, but he hands it to her. Anyway, it's a carnation. I know because my sister wears them all the time at her piano recitals. I have no idea where he got it from. I don't remember it being part of the plan. Roses are quitters, Bran says, which strikes me as an odd way to describe a flower. But Miss Bixby laughs and cries all at once. Thanks, boy, she says. Today was so much better than I could have imagined it. Then she turns and starts down the hill. We stand at the top and watch her go, her purse under one arm and Bran's broken flower hanging down at her side. Nurse Georgia lecturing her all the way through the park and out to the street, the way Miss Bixby sometimes lectured the lot of us. Just as she's about to turn the corner out of sight, she looks back at us up on the hill and waves, even though she wasn't supposed to. There weren't supposed to be any goodbyes. When she's gone, I pick up the extra plate and shove them in my bag, while Topher carefully folds the blanket and holds it close to his chest. This place is nice, Bran says, looking down the rolling slope of grass, hands in his pocket. It's perfect, actually, Topher says. I tug on Topher's shirt. Time to go home? Topher nods, but he doesn't move. So I just stand between him and Bran, all of us staring at the empty space where Miss Bixby used to be. We have to hurry to catch the 42 at the corner of 14th and State. The bus will take us back to school in time for dismissal. The plan is to just sneak back onto our own school bus, number 17, and go home. Just like if we had been at the school the whole day. At least that's the plan for Topher and me. Brand will walk. He says it's okay. He's used to it. The city bus deposits us a block and a half from school, not far from that apartment complex where Topher wanted to strangle Mr. McElroy with a shoelace. We will still have to deal with his wrath on Monday, but Topher says Monday is a long ways away, and that a lot can happen between now and then. We walk back to the school grounds in silence and stand behind the bushes. Topher says we should wait for the bell, for the surge of students to come erupting from the doors. Then we'll just emerge into the crowd. Do you think we missed anything important, I asked. I can't help it. Just looking at school makes my stomach ache. Maybe I shouldn't have had cheesecake for lunch. Not today, Brand says. The buses start to file in, making a parade. I can almost hear the sound of 1,000 kids packing up, primed for the weekend, ready for adventure of one sort or another. Brand sighs and adjusts his backpack like he's ready to take off. Hang on, Topher says. He unzips his backpack and roots around. I can hear the sound of torn paper, and his hand emerges with a thick sheet, edges frayed. Here, he says, holding it out to Brand. What? Are you serious? Brand says. He seems afraid to take it, which is strange, given how hard it was for him to let go of it earlier. Can you guys think of what they might be holding? What is Topher giving Brand? Topher shrugs. I can always draw another one. I'll make it the first picture in the new sketchbook you buy me. So it was the sketch of Miss Bixby, and remember, when they were shuffling for it, he broke the sketchbook. Brand takes the drawing of Miss Bixby hesitantly. Thanks, man, he says. In the parking lot, the buses are idling, waiting for us. The parents who come to pick up the kids every afternoon pull into the circle. Thank God mine don't do that. I want to put that part off as long as possible. The chimes of Foxridge Elementary's dismissals ring out, making me jump. Almost immediately, the doors bust open and a crowd of kids spills out, jostling their way across the sidewalk. That's our cue, Topher says. He gives Brand a fist bump. All right, so see ya? Yeah, see ya. Brand turns to me, points to my chin. That lip is pretty fried, you know. I reach up and touch my busted lip tentatively. I'm not sure what frat is. Freaking radical, maybe? But it sounds like a compliment. It hurts when I smile, I tell him. Then we bump fists too. Brand takes a new step backward, like he's afraid to take his eyes off us. Then he gives us a salute before entering down the street. I'm actually a little sorry to see him go. Come on. Topher pulls me along the backpack loop, and we emerge with the crowd, just like we planned. Mrs. Thornbrook, the assistant principal, glares at us. You two, she snaps beside me. Topher tenses up. Hurry up and get on your bus. It's Friday, for heaven's sakes. Don't you want to go home? I shake my head, but Miss Thornbrook doesn't notice. We run to our bus, the 6th one I've been on today, climb aboard, shuffle toward the back, ignoring the looks from the other 6th graders, who probably won't even wonder where we've been all day, because they know where we weren't. Sarah Tolston actually has the nerve to ask, and Topher tells her we were on a field trip and it's none of her business, and if she gets any nosier, she'll be able to pick her boogers with a shovel. Sarah huffs and whispers to the girl sitting next to her. I don't really care, though. Sarah Tolston is the least of my worries. I look over at Topher and point out that he has a raspberry topping still in the corner of his mouth. He scrapes it off with his thumb. No evidence, he says. No evidence, I say, then I suck gingerly on my lower lip. As the bus rumbles toward the street, Topher points out the window to Brand walking half in the middle of the road. Topher pounds and calls his name, but he obviously can't hear. He still has Topher's sketch in his hand, though, and he's looking at it as he walks. Behind him, you can see the cherry trees that the 3rd and 4th graders planted outside the school last year are just starting to blossom. Topher keeps staring out the window. Hey, Topher, I say. What? I want you to know, I think of all the things I'd like to say, but there are still so many I'm uncertain of. So I say the one thing I'm sure about. I had a pretty good day today. Yeah, Topher sighs. I glance behind us and look out the bus's back window at the red brick building of our school and wave goodbye. Then I lean in and put my head on Topher's shoulders. He doesn't shrug it off. Alright, so the next chapter is Brand. I'm going to end here, and you will tune in for the next chapter, which we will call chapter 14, I think.